This show was not what I expected it to be at all, and it was unlike anything I've ever seen. The Sandman. So the Sandman follows the story of the character Dream, who controls everyone's dreams. However, one day he is imprisoned in the real world, in the waking world, and he's imprisoned in this world for over a century. And in this time, a lot of chaos is taking place. So when he finally gets out of his imprisonment, he has to fix all the chaos. But, as you can imagine, a lot of complications occur on the way as he tries to do so. And that's my version of the plot for The Sandman. I mean, there's a lot more to the show than that, but that's my version of the plot for this series. And honestly, I absolutely love The Sandman. I thought it was absolutely fantastic and just brilliant. I really did. And I didn't expect to like the show as much as I did. I think it's great. It was so good to watch. Like, the show got better as it went on as well. Like, episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4 was so enjoyable to watch. But then episodes 5 and 6 were on another level. They were fantastic. Like, episode 5 was a bottle episode. You know, most took place in one location, with the exception of the last 5 minutes of that episode, which set up episode 6. You know, episode 5, most took place in one location. But it was thrilling and riveting to watch. And it was so well written, that episode. And then episode 6 was it was perfect in my opinion. Honestly, it was a perfect episode of television. It was just like, it was one of the best pieces of television I've seen in the past couple of years. I mean, episodes 5 and 6 were like, they were amazing. Like, episode 6 had the character of Death in there, and on the surface that sounds like quite a depressing and hard-hitting character to have in the show, but when you're watching it, it's kind of like a light-hearted character that you enjoy being around. And you know, it's so weird to say, but it's the truth when it comes to the series. Honestly, the character Death was it was so brilliantly done. Like, the execution with the character there, it was such a well-done character, but then the way they executed it in the series was just fantastic. And then the second half of the episode is all about this one character who wants to live forever. He never wants to die, and I love the way that was done as well. I love how they execute those storylines with Death and the person who wants to live forever in episode 6. I just thought it was so brilliant. I really did. And then episodes 7, 8, 9, and 10, this whole Dollhouse storyline was also fantastic in my opinion. I know some people are a bit iffy on the last 4 episodes of this show, but personally, I thought they were great. I really like watching them, and I really like the series as a whole. Honestly, I got to the end of the series literally today. Like, a couple of hours ago, I got to the end of the series, and I just went, oh, I can't wait for series 2 now. Hopefully there'll be a series 2. I don't think it's been confirmed as of yet, as I am doing this review today. But it's just, I really want another series of this show. I want to see more of this sort of storytelling, because it's creepy, it's mysterious, but at the same time, though, it's spellbinding, it's enchanting, and it's heartwarming, it's heartbreaking. It's like one big emotional roller coaster, and just in the best way possible. I love all the different characters with me as well. I love the character Dream, brilliantly played by Tom Sturridge, who, by the way, looks a bit like Robert Pattinson. And also, I found out recently that apparently he used to live with Robert Pattinson, Eddie Redmayne, Andrew Garfield, and Jamie Dornan all in a house together, which is kind of incredible when you think about it. But still, Tom Sturridge is great in the show, and this sort of dominant every time he's on screen. And the same thing that happens with Boyd Holbrook, who also plays Corithian. I think that's what the character's name is. I think it is. I might be getting it wrong there. I do apologise if I am. But Corithian, who is kind of like the villain in this show, but not your typical villain, because he was created by a dream. He was created by the main character. He is such an interesting villain, and I love the way Boyd Holbrook, who will be in Indiana Jones 5, by the way, he's going to be in Indiana Jones 5, which I'm very excited to see now. I'm very excited to see his performance in the next indie movie. Just had to put it in there because I'm so excited for Indiana Jones 5. But still, nevertheless, Boyd Holbrook was just so good in this show, and I really enjoyed watching him. But also, there's some other great performances as well from, like, just supporting people. Like, the one who played Death was fantastic. Stephen Fry's in there, and he's wonderful to watch in the show. Charles Dance in the first episode, and he is fantastic in the first episode. Gwendoline Christie, who most people know, you know, as Brienne Taff from Game of Thrones, she's in the show. She plays Lucifer Morningstar, and she is She's great at the show as well. And also, there's a couple of voice actors as well, like Mark Hamill, who everyone knows obviously as Luke Skywalker. He voices a talking pumpkin in episodes 7 and 8, I think. Whenever he pops on the screen, I was like, oh my god, I can't believe they got Mark Hamill to voice a talking pumpkin. But he's great. But also, Patton Oswalt voices a raven, who I think is in every single episode of the show, actually. He kind of provides some comedy relief with the whole situation, you know, with Dream. Like, Tom Sawyer's a Dream at the start of the show is quite a downhearted character, but then whenever you have this raven voiced by Patton Oswalt, you know, around him, he provides some comedic relief, and in the best way possible. Honestly, I love Patton Oswalt as the Raven as well, and just all the supporting performances are fantastic. There's some which I haven't even mentioned yet, which are just so good, but they're all great. Honestly, I had a great time in the show, and I didn't expect to, and I love the musical score as well by David Buckler. I think it entices you into the world of the Sandman, and oh my god, it was fantastic in my opinion. I really didn't expect it to be. Like, episodes 5 and 6, I'm gonna go back to them because they just blew me away. Episodes 5 and 6 were like some of the best pieces of television I've seen of this year ever, really. They're some of the best pieces of television I've seen in my life. Granted, I haven't watched a lot of television in my life, but I have seen a lot of famous television shows, nevertheless. But, you know, episodes 5 and 6 of The Sandman were they were so good. You know what's so brilliant about them as well? Episodes 5 and 6, which were right next to each other in the show, they were so different from one another. Like, episode 5 is kind of a bit of a thrilling and scary episode. It's got a lot of horror elements in there, and it's quite a dark episode. I mean, I thought it was fantastic, but it was a dark episode. And then episode 6, though, was just like an emotional rollercoaster, which is both like heartwarming and heartbreaking. Honestly, whenever death was on screen in episode 6, and again, that sounds like it sounds like it shouldn't work. The character of Death. It's weird me saying that the character of Death is heartwarming in the show, but she kind of is. If you've seen episode 6 of the show, whenever she's on screen, you understand what I mean. She's kind of heartwarming to be around. It's like just the way, I don't know what the actress is called, and I kind of feel ashamed that I don't know her name actually, but the way she plays the character Death in episode 6 was it was great. And this whole storyline of the character, this guy who wants to live forever, I just thought it was done great. I loved how it kind of jumped storyline, but it didn't feel messy as well. It jumped time periods in the episode, and I thought it was done so great. And I really enjoyed the last 4 episodes as well. I know, like I said before, I know some people are a bit iffy on the last 4 episodes. They don't love them. In fact, I saw some reviews in IMDb. And by the way, you should never really, you never really trust IMDb reviews because they can be review bombed. And yeah, so most of the time, I don't trust IMDb reviews. But I was looking at IMDb anyway this series, so I was looking at some of the reviews. And I know some people aren't as big on the last 4 episodes as, say, I am. But personally, for me, I was watching the last 4 episodes, and I was watching them one by one. Like, they all had a cliffhanger at the end of each episode. It's kind of like the Netflix formula, if you will. Honestly, when you're watching not Netflix shows, you know it's because, obviously, the streaming shows, they have kind of like a cliffhanger, which makes you want to watch each episode. A lot of the Netflix shows do, like, at least a lot of the ones I've seen, like The Crown, Sex Education, Stranger Things, and so on and so on and so on. And this show as well, kind of a cliffhanger at the end of each episode. And I was watching them one by one. Honestly, I started watching the Dollhouse storyline, episode 7 of The Sandman last night, and I finished it this morning, because I was enjoying it that much. And so, yeah, I loved the Dollhouse storyline this series. I did. And I thought it was great. I love the world they created in the series as well. Like, it's adapted from a Neil Gaiman novelization or some Neil Gaiman comics. I don't really know. I must admit, I don't know the source material for this show whatsoever. If it's based on comic books, newsflash, I've never read a comic book in my life, so I've never read the Sandman comic books. But still, nevertheless, it's Neil Gaiman who I think wrote the book that this show is based on, and also he's an executive producer on the show, and I think he wrote some of the episodes as well. And Neil Gaiman was also an executive producer on Good Omens, and I think he wrote some episodes of that show as well. And Good Omens is also based on a Neil Gaiman novelization, so there's a link between Good Omens, which starred David Tennant and Michael Sheen as he played the angel and the devil in that show, and also this show as well, and also Sandman. There's a link between both shows, and you can kind of tell. I mean, they're 2 very different shows, but they also create these wonderful and magical worlds, which you just really enjoy spending time in, and I really like that about both shows. I mean, I think that The Sandman is the better show, but I did still really enjoy Good Omens nonetheless. But still, back onto The Sandman. I really, really loved the world it created. I loved all the little... I love the storylines as well. I love how you'll go from some of these light-hearted storylines and seeing people's dreams and things like that in quite a happy and joyful way, and sometimes quite a funny way as well, to sometimes some quite dark storylines. There's this whole storyline to do with Dave Lewis's character. In episodes, I think it's 4 and 5 of this series, and I thought that storyline was particularly brilliant. It might have been episode 3 as well, but that storyline was particularly brilliant. This whole guy, this storyline, this character has this jewel, and when he waves his hand around this jewel, something like that, it exposes everyone's dark side, and I love the way that was done, especially in episode 5 of this series. I was watching episode 5, and I was watching in my bed back there, and I was on the edge of my bed. Not the edge of my seat, because I wasn't watching it I wasn't watching it on a seat, I was watching it on my bed, I was on the edge of my bed, I was watching, I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. It's that sort of spellbinding entertainment, which I just love. As for criticisms, I know, the whole fantasy elements in this show won't be for everyone, and that's fine. It is a bit Lord of the Rings, a bit Hobbit-esque, and a bit Game of Thrones-esque, even to the point you got some Game of Thrones actors in there, like Charles Dance and Gwendoline Christie. And I think that isn't going to be for everyone, and that's fine. And I can see why some people might be confused by this show. Honestly, I find it quite enchanting. Like, you got elves in this series, you got dragons but weird dragons, not the dragons you expect in something like Game of Thrones or like The Hobbit. No, it's like weird sort of playful dragons as well. People have dragons as pets, and also you have this woolly mammoth-like creature anyway, in episodes 9 and 10 of this show, which is voiced by Lenny Henry, and it's just these weird mythical elements which won't be for everyone. Personally, I really like them. I like, genre entertainment. You can escape into a different world. Hence why the Star Wars films are some of my favourite films of all time, and hence why I've got so many Star Wars memorabilia about there, but also why I think Lord of the Rings films, are some of the best made movies of all time. I love fantasy genre entertainment, whether it's in movies or TV. Like, I love the first 7 seasons of Game of Thrones. Season not so much, but you get the point I'm making. I love fantasy drama entertainment, and I loved it in this show as well. It won't be for everyone though, because it is a bit peculiar. You go from sometimes this light-hearted dream sort of fantastical world to like hell, because you go and meet Lucifer Morningstar, brilliant played by Gwendoline Christie, as I already mentioned. But yeah, it's not going to be for everyone, all the fantastical elements, but personally, I love them, but I can see why some other people wouldn't. Also, criticisms that I do have though, I wasn't the biggest on episode 3. I think that was the episode with Jenna Coleman. I'm just not the biggest on her as an actress, I've got to admit. Like, I never really liked her in Doctor Who when she played Clara, and she was in Doctor Who for a very long time. Well, it felt like a long time anyway. I'm just not the biggest on her as an actress, and also, she was doing a Geordie accent as well, and I'm not sure why. Like, I could kind of tell, and it wasn't great. And it wasn't the biggest fan of the episode. It wasn't a bad episode. I still find it fun to watch. It was still watchable, and I enjoyed watching the episode. But it was kind of my least favourite episode of the series overall. But as with any show, you're going to get some episodes which are better than others. So, that's just that there. And also, sometimes you introduce like interesting characters like Death, which on the surface, again, doesn't sound like an interesting character. But when you watch episode 6 of the show, she is an interesting character. A character I want to spend more time with. But the thing is, though, not to give much away, but she's only in that one episode. And like, she could come back in series 2 or series 3 and 4, or however long the Sandman goes on for, if it gets renewed on Netflix, which fingers crossed it does, by the way. But at the same time, though, she just represents the point I'm trying to make. Sometimes you introduce the characters that you really enjoy being around, and which are well-written characters, but don't come back again later on the show. And I just would have liked a bit more of that. Like, there's certain characters as well, which I want to see a bit more. Like, I want to see a bit more Stephen Fry's character. He's wonderful in the show, but he's only really in like 3 episodes, from what I can remember. And also, I want to see a bit more, like, Gwendoline Christie as Lucifer Morningstar. I mean, if they do a series 2, it does set up the fact that she'll probably be in series 2 a lot more. But we just don't see a lot of her in this show. Like, she's only really in 1 episode. She's in the last episode in like the last 5 minutes. Not to go much way there. But at the same time, though, she's in the last episode like 5 minutes. But she's only really predominantly in 1 episode. And I would like to see more of certain characters. The show is a bit anthology-esque in its first 4 episodes. It jumps from one story to another. There's no continuing story with the exception of Tom Sturridge as Dream and, Patton Oswalt voicing as Raven, which are in all the episodes of this show. And there's a couple of other characters as well, which are in all 10 episodes. But you know, like, there's not one consistent storyline in all 10 episodes, and sometimes it makes the show feel a tad bit disjointed. That only really happens in its first 4 episodes, and like, I still enjoy the first 4 episodes. I mean, I watched the rest of the show, so clearly I was enjoying the first 4 episodes, but just sometimes the show feels like it doesn't really have a narrative drive, like one storyline to continuing on all 10 episodes, with the exception of Dream, who's in all 10 episodes. So I suppose he is the narrative drive, but it just would like there to be something else going on in all 10 episodes, other than Dream, and other than the Corinthian played by Boyd Holbrook. But still, nonetheless, there's other criticisms, like other nitpicks I have with the show, like sometimes the direction is the best, sometimes some overdubbing is a bit obvious, sometimes the CGI isn't the best as well, but overall, I don't really care. I had a great time with the show. I really did. And I really didn't expect to. Honestly, it's wonderful. It's great. And I really want to go back and rewatch it now. Hopefully, I'll find the time at some point, because I'm really busy watching a lot of stuff right now. I'm trying to do a lot more stuff with this channel. I'm not getting everything away yet, but there's going to be some new things coming to the channel in the next couple of weeks, fingers crossed. But still, I think this show is fantastic, and I think it's got so many great performances, and I think each episode has got a lot of great moments, but episode 5 and 6 were on another level, but still, I really enjoyed each and every episode nonetheless, and I loved it, and I didn't expect to, but you know what, I'm really happy that I did. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that The Sandman, I'm going to say that it's a 9 out of 10. Honestly, this show really won me over, and I really didn't know what to expect going into it. I watched the first episode, and it's kind of like, that's different. Not at all what I expected it to be. Very different than Good Omens, another Neil Gaiman adaptation. So I wasn't expecting this, but you know what, I'll give it more of a go. And then the more I watched it, the more I fell in love with it, especially with episodes 5 and 6, and also episode 4 as well. Episode 4 was great. I think that was the episode with Gwendoline Christie as Lucifer Morningstar. I might have got that mixed up with the episode with Jenna Coleman, I do apologise. I got to admit my head's a bit fuzzy today because I went swimming earlier today, and sometimes when you go swimming your head gets a bit fuzzy for the rest of the day. But nevertheless, episode 4, the episode with Dream and Lucifer, was great, and I love the battle between those two characters. I love how unique it was. Like, I won't give anything away in case you haven't seen that episode yet, but I thought that was a really interesting way of doing that battle, and if we see more of Lucifer in the next series, I'm all for that. And I really enjoyed each episode. I love the storylines, especially, I love the continuing storyline from episode 7 to episode 10, the whole Dollhouse storyline. I loved episode 6 with Death and this whole character wants to live forever. I loved episode 5, which is the bottle episode. I thought Babe for Lewis was fantastic in those 2 episodes. In episode 4 and 5, I thought that episodes 1 through 3 were so enjoyable, and episode 4 was really good as well. I think it's great. As with every show, some episodes will be better than others. That happens with every single show. But the thing is, The Sandman, I got something out of each and every episode, which I really didn't expect to. Honestly, like I said before, it's mysterious, it's spellbinding, it's creepy, but at the same time, though, it's heartwarming, it's heartbreaking, and just all in the best way possible. And also, one thing I almost got to mention is at the same time, though, it's got some Sam Raimi-isms in there as well. Like, it's a bit Sam Raimi-esque, especially with the Evil Dead films. Like, I watched the first 2 Evil Dead films recently, and there's a lot of eye violence in those movies, a lot of, peculiar violence, which you can, associate with a Sam Raimi film, whether it's Evil Dead movies or not. But still, nevertheless, you get the point I'm making. A lot of Sam Raimi-isms in this show, which I also really enjoyed, especially having watched the first Evil Dead films recently. But anyway, back onto The Sandman. I loved it so much. It was fantastic. It was mysterious, spellbinding, entertaining, which was heartwarming and heartbreaking to watch. And it was one big emotional roller coaster. And I loved it. I really did. It won me over. And fingers crossed we get a season 2. Because I want to see more of this world, more of this sort of storytelling. And I want to see more of The Sandman. Because this series was it was brilliant, and I adored it to pieces. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that The Sandman, I'm going to say that it's a 9 out of 10 from me. Anyway, guys, what do you think of The Sandman? Please do comment down below and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Anyway, guys, thank you as always for watching, and if you haven't yet, please do click down below and subscribe on this video, and look forward to many more, both film and TVs, come very, very soon on this channel. See you guys again soon, but bye for now. Bye!